Bonjour tout le monde, comment ça va? Moi, je vais bien. C'est la deuxième semaine que je n'ai pas de travail. So it is my second week that I don't have a job, and yeah, let's talk about it. A lot of things happened the first week. Really, a lot of the things that I did the first week was like really just like getting my shit together. I had a dance show, and honestly, it was the best show I've ever had. I was in Cuties and we did a Powerpuff Girls set. It was super cute, super fun.
Using their ultra superpowers, Blossom, Bubble, and Buttercup, the forces of evil. The safe way to refer to this king of darkness is simply somebody on their way. Somebody can't relate. Top down, I'm erasing.
Big old ass, but she's ain't got no ring. Birkin bags, Louboutin shoes. Not a
I've been on Cuties since 2020, so it's been 4 years, and I've been on the leadership team for Cuties since 2020, so it's just been really, truly amazing to see how that team has grown since 2020. Yeah, I'm just so proud of us. And then I debuted, and also it was my last show on a different team called Double T's.
bitch, I ain't afraid. I don't try bitches. Try to take who it ain't enough for y'all bitches. Smile for me. I know you do anything to put a smile on me. You put me first every time. Put up every time. Let's go, Paulina! Hey! Don't mean I forget that. Let's go! Don't mean I forget that. Don't have to spend no money. What you say?
I'd leave you for someone else. Too bad you can't leave yourself. Loosen your grip before I choke. Can't catch my breath from
I got Louis for my luggage. I need money, so I hustle. This ain't fake. Watch Buster, please. Put you in a trunk.
Tees was formed by two of my really close friends who also used to be on Cuties with me, and then they graduated and went to a different team, and then they started their own team. And so I'm just really thankful to have been a part of that group, at least during the time that I'm here, you know? A lot of the people on Double T's Some of them used to be on cuties, and so it was nice like dancing with them in this context again. And then there are other people that I've like danced with through classes and workshops, etc. But I've never really danced with them on a team, and I just really, really am proud of what we came out with, and I'm just so honored and so thankful that I had the opportunity. So yeah, I really just want to thank Giselle and Daniel for believing in me and just including me as a part of their project. So it was super fun. I also was shopping for ceramic studios last week. I think I found a really good studio. It's not signing a lease, but I started the monthly payment, and now I'm just waiting for information on how to get into the studio. I hope by this week I'm going to get into that studio and finish up some pieces that I wasn't able to finish up in my last studio. And yeah, it's just all very, very exciting. The studio that I landed with is in a really great neighborhood. It is super cozy. I think there's only 30 members, so not super big, but the inside of it feels like a tree house. It's just, I'm so excited to create here. Lastly, I've just been hanging out with a lot of dogs. Yeah, that's what I do now because I'm a rover, sitter, boarder, walker. And what do? When you don't have a job, you walk dogs, I guess. So, I was thinking that today we are going to talk about self-organization. I had some friends over, Daniel and Matt. They came by and I had my planner out and they looked through it and they were kind of just asking me questions about how I organize my life. And, you know, this is not the first time somebody's asked me about how I organize things. I think being an engineering manager, it really refined my organization skills. On top of that, I super, super value a work-life balance, and I love to pursue creativity and artistry after work. So a lot of people ask themselves, like, how can you even do that? Like, I think once you find a system for yourself, it makes it really easy. And yeah, a lot of the conversations that I have with my direct reports back when I was an engineering manager was how do you balance the things that you want to do on top of a 9 to 5 work week? So these are things that help me. And of course, like, first of all, I just wanted to start saying that give yourself some grace if this system does not work for you, because this system is constantly changing. I try new things every week, and if things don't work, then I boot it and I try something else. And then sometimes things do get stale for me, so I try to mix things up, try new things, and sometimes I just have bad weeks. So yeah, I first just want to mention 2 different sources for you. The first one is Furry Little Peach Shonda On's My Secret to Productivity. It's a great, great video. I've applied a lot of the things that she talks about in that video to my own self-organization. I also really like Life Kit NPR's podcast about schedule and organization. I think those are really great things. Okay, so as you can see, I am wearing something different. To be honest, I got a call in the middle of recording yesterday, and I simply forgot. I forgot to continue. So here we are now, new fit, repping SZA still because I love her. And we got Zoe next to me, one of the dogs that I take care of. Now that I've given you some resources about self-organization, I'm going to talk about how I do things. I think this first step to self-organization is understanding what works for you. Do you like paper planners? Do you like things on a to-do list app? For me, I do a combination of both. I really enjoy having a paper planner because I get that dopamine hit when I do a single cross across the thing that I have completed. I also have a Notion which I put in my daily notes, And I also have this app on Android called Business Calendar, and I really like Business Calendar because you could see if a reminder gets carried over to the next day. When I had an iPhone, I used something called Fantastical, and both of these tools sync to your Google Calendar or iCal, so it does make things a lot easier. I just really like having the view where the reminder and your event is listed on the same day because it reminds me that I have something that I need to get done. So when I think about my to-do lists, I kind of think about things from greater to smaller, like the longest length of duration all the way to the shortest length of duration. Sean Dance, in that video that I mentioned previously, talks about like a jug of water to a cup of water to little sips of water. So that's kind of what you want to think about. I actually do New Year's resolutions and I try to follow them. A lot of the New Year's resolutions are pretty big and probably won't be able to get done in, you know, a short period of time. They're often like yearly goals or maybe 4 to 6 month goals that I like to space them out to. So another thing that I think about when I think about yearly goals is also between, is this a habit building goal or is this a big goal? And I'll talk more about habits later, but when I think of habit building goals, I think about wanting to eat healthier and exercise, or making sure that I get a lot of outside time throughout the day because if you don't know, I used to work from home. Because I used to work from home, there'd be days where I just like don't leave the apartment. Those are habit building goals that I like to think about. Then there are like tangible goals that you could accomplish in a business perspective. Back in my software engineering job, we call them OKRs, objective key result. And the reason they're called OKRs is because there is a specific objective that you are trying to accomplish and a key result that occurs after that is done. So they're measurable, and because they're measurable, it's easy for us to determine like if a goal has been complete. So one of my goals that I had for 2024 was apply to grad school. And that's like a pretty specific objective key result, right? Like I had to submit everything that was on that list for grad school, create a portfolio, write a personal statement, get letters of recommendations, etc., all the way to submitting the application. So that's something that I think is like a long-term goal that is truly an OKR. When it comes to these longer-term goals, I like to put them somewhere that you can reference every day. Furry Little Peach in that video, she puts it in a chalkboard in her studio. I think that's a great idea. I used to put it in a sticky note and then put it next to my monitor so that I'm always like reminded by the things that I needed to do. And then I like started to travel a lot all last year. So then I just started putting it on my notes app that I could reference. So whatever works for you, just like a way that you can access these goals and remind yourself of the things that you've accomplished. Because the best part is at the end of the year, you get to look at this list and see what you've actually done. So that's when I think of long-term goals. Now I like to break things down to weekly goals. I have this ritual at the beginning of the week. I try to do it every Sunday night, to be honest, so I could have my spread ready for the next week. I'll first write a little habit tracker, and that will allow me to track if I've done certain things that I want to accomplish. So some of the things that I put in my habit tracker was making sure I go outside, making sure I drink water, making sure I tidy my house just a little bit, because if you tidy little by little, then you don't have to do like a big clean every single time. I used to be a very messy kid. Growing up with my two brothers, I just like did not care, and I love my mom, bless her, but you know, she picked up a lot after me, so thanks, Mom. I didn't really learn how to be organized and clean until later in life. And I think just like building better habits is just like the start of it. Also, these habits can change really. It just like depends on what you want to focus on. Like sometimes I'll have days where I realize I'm not really exercising much, so I'll try to make a goal of like, okay, I want to exercise at least 3 times this week or 2 times this week. So like the point of this habit tracker isn't to have a perfect day every single day. The point of this habit tracker is for you to be able to look at your week from a bird's eye view and understand the pattern that you are making for yourself. Like I think a lot of the times when people make these habit trackers, they kind of shame themselves for like not doing all the things that they set out to do that day. But really, if you set small attainable goals for yourself, like going to yoga twice a week instead of like going to yoga 5 times a week, then it's just like much more accomplishing. So yes, that's the first thing that I like to write in my planner, is have this habit tracker. The next thing I like to do when I'm creating my weekly spread is identify 3 goals that measure success for the week. So it's really easy to get caught up on these side tasks, especially when you are trying to be a good coworker and help somebody out, or especially when you have like a bunch of different things that you are trying to accomplish. It's good to have a focus for 3, and I try not to do any more than 3 to ensure that I feel successful at the end of the week. So these goals are probably the thing that's going to define what your week is going to look like. I like to add things, at least go to yoga twice a week, or I like to also add things like kick off this project or finish this project. Sometimes I find myself making a goal that's too large for the week and I'm super ambitious, and that's totally okay. I think as long as you recognize that, oops, I made this goal way too big, when you're like looking back on the past week, and give yourself some grace, that's totally okay. I don't want to set myself up for failure. Yes, going to yoga twice a week is a very tangible thing, but to me, going twice a week is better than trying to aim for 4 times a week. Like sometimes things happen. Heck, you could even just say like go to yoga once a week. I also like to say things like kick off this project, because as long as I made some progress on something, then I kind of give myself that gold star and then I feel accomplished afterwards. The last thing that I like to add on my weekly spread is personal events that I have. These can be things like going to rehearsal, or getting dinner with a friend, or maybe have a date with somebody, like things like that. I like to write it exactly in my planner because A, it gives me context of how busy my day is going to be. B, sometimes double book myself. I mean, who doesn't? And so it allows me to realize like, oh shoot, I may have double booked and I need to reach out to such and such to reschedule or rain check, etc. And I think in general, it's good to understand what your day after work looks like. For example, if you have like a concert on Wednesday, and that that's in the middle of the week, maybe you really need that focus time on Monday and Tuesday to get everything done so that Wednesday you can have a lighter day and also really just enjoy your concert and just like feel free and be present in the concert. Like that would suck is that you have something scheduled and you can't stop thinking about work or the things that you need to get done. No, let's not do that. Like let's just make sure that you understand what your day looks like, so that when you do have these like side tasks, etc., you're not stressed leading up to the event. So now that I've talked about the weekly spread, I like to talk about specific project/initiative sticky notes. I was editing this video and realized that I talked about this out of order, but when you think about like a project or an initiative, grab that list from the yearly New Year's resolution, long-term goals list. Think of each of those like long-term projects as an initiative or a project. And then from that, break that down and brain dump every single thing that you need to do for that initiative to get accomplished. From a personal level, when I have personal projects, I like to honestly keep it in a sticky note, and each sticky note has its own set of lists. For example, I'm going through this website migration. I am moving a lot of stuff in my current portfolio into new pages, and so I have it all in this sticky note, as you can see, and these are some of the pages that I need to migrate over. Back when I worked, we used Asana. I actually really like Asana. Some people complained a lot about it, but I just really appreciate it for what it is. I think it's a great task management platform. I love that when you click the checkbox, a lot of like confetti comes out, and I would say it's comparable, like the dopamine hit that I get is comparable to the one that I get from like manually crossing things off my to-do list. With my Asana projects, each project will have a list of tasks that need to get done as well, and the things that you need to do. And of course, you know, depending on what corporation, sometimes they're assigned to you and you have like these different streams. So I have, you know, my personal project stuff, I have my Asana project for work, and then I'll also have just like a random list of chores that I need to get done, and I actually put that on my business calendar on my phone. And so sometimes when I see that, those are things that need to get done right away, or I push them back, etc. So that's kind of like the project sticky note. After the project view, I like to think of things from like a daily view. So after you have your week all spread out, I like to look back on the past week and see if there's anything that needs to overflow into this coming week. And I also like to use the Eisenhower Matrix, which Evgeny, my old colleague, showed me. It's a really great system for determining the level of priority. So sometimes something that overflowed from last week needs to get done this week. And sometimes it doesn't need to get done this week, and I could schedule in advance where I can put it. And at this page, I'll jump forward on my planner and, you know, add that due date some other time. And then sometimes you actually don't need to get it done at all. Like, this is the power of delegation. I think being an engineering manager, I had to delegate a lot because otherwise I'd just be completely underwater. If you're in any sort of leadership position, like, this is a really great time for you to empower those members to help step up and get help yourself. It's totally okay to ask for help. It's honestly much better that you can delegate tasks to people and have them interpret and do these things on their own and coach them if, you know, they do it a different way than you expect them to, than for you to take on these tasks all yourself, because otherwise you can't control everything, you know. It's just better mental load for you. If you like work-life balance, then you should learn to delegate. So lastly, the thing that can happen after you delegate it is maybe you just decide that you won't do it at all for many reasons, right? Maybe you went in a different direction. Maybe you just realize that you'll just never get to it. And so just why bother carrying it over and adding stress to yourself if you are just never going to do it? The daily to-dos comprise of things that carried over from last week, things that you are actively pulling from your personal sticky notes initiatives or your work initiative, project board, whatever. And then lastly, if somebody asks you to do something, you have to write it down immediately. And this is where it gets a little tricky, because you have to think through the Eisenhower Matrix on the spot, right? Is it something that you can get done today? If so, write it down for that day. Is it something that you can get down perhaps later this week? Then write it later this week. Maybe this thing is something that needs to get done in the future. So put the actual due date in the future in your personal planner or in your calendar or whatever, but make a checkbox that says, think about this thing. Like, having this diligence on writing whatever it is down immediately is going to help you be on track to understanding and knowing what it is you have to accomplish. Sorry, I feel like I keep moving around, but Zoe's parents just came and picked her up. But yeah, that's really it. That's the method to my madness. I kind of start from, the big, large, long term goals, 6+ month goals, and then breaking them up into separate initiatives and projects, and finally creating a weekly spread that includes my habit tracker as well as my priorities, and then last but not least my daily tasks that includes stuff from the overflow bin, stuff from my project task list, etc., as well as things that people ask of me. So yeah, let me know if you try this system. Let me know if you use a similar system. I'm really curious. I'm kind of a nerd when it comes to personal organization, and I'm constantly changing and improving my process. So I would love to hear your thoughts, but thanks so much for watching. Bye.